We begin the new year with an old rivalry as the number 6 UCLA Bruins and the number 3 Crimson Tide of Alabama duel in Westwood for the first time in 3 years. Pauley Pavilion, certainly a building of banners, basketball, volleyball, and gymnastics. The Bruin gymnasts have hung 6 in this hallowed hall, but Alabama's rich history can match UCLA exactly with 6 titles of their own, including going back-to-back in 2011 and 2012. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside Pauley Pavilion in Westwood. Jim Watson, the Olympic gold medalist, Amanda Borden. Of course, you know Greg Marsden, the winningest coach in the history of this sport. Welcome aboard. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Greg, let's start with you. 40 years you were doing this. Why would a head coach schedule an opponent as tough as these two have for their season opener? Why do it?
Well, if you want to be the best, you've got to compete against the best.
Sure.
And with conference schedules, there's not that much time in the season. So you've got a couple weeks at the beginning, maybe a week at the end. So you've got to get these done when you can.
Spoken like a guy who's won over 1,000 meets. All right, Amanda, so let's turn our attention to UCLA. Once again, among the nation's elite, number 6 in the country. But now Valerie Kondos Field is backstage rubbing her temples and trying to figure out, how do I replace Samantha Peshek, the NCAA all-around champion? That's like watching Frozen without Elsa. It's just going to look strange, isn't it?
Well, definitely difficult shoes to fill. In fact, it's going to take the entire team to replace her scores and her leadership. But I had a chance to talk to the coaches, and they feel like the team is really stepping up where they need. Long term, they think freshman Caitlin Ohashi brings a lot of international experience and could be their next leader. She's also competing in 3 of the events tonight.
UCLA has had a ton of success in this millennium, but they have not taken down the Tide since 2001. Bama finished 4th last year. They're supposed to be even better. It's Bama and the Bruins, and it's coming up next from Westwood on the Pac-12 Network. Alabama has been one of the best teams in the country for the last decade, and last year they were the best team in the SEC, going back-to-back SEC titles. They went on to finish 4th at the NCAA Super 6. This Alabama team is now ranked number 3 in the country and expected to be even better. Dana Duckworth back for her 2nd season. Last year, she replaced Sarah Patterson, who'd been there for decades, but Dana Duckworth has been there a long time, too. 21 years at Alabama, 4 years as an athlete, 9 years as a volunteer coach, 6 as an assistant, and now in her 2nd campaign at the end of the bench. Valerie Kondos Field, 26 years at UCLA, and the numbers are staggering. 468 victories, 6, count them, 6 NCAA championships, and 12 conference titles. She has been the National Coach of the Year 4 times. She is assisted by Chris Waller, the Associate Head Coach, and Randy Lane. UCLA is going to begin on the vault. This was a strong event for UCLA last year, number 7 in the country, but we already have our surprise. Caitlin Ohashi. Well, Manny, you talked about her at the top. She is the smallest gymnast in the room, but one of the biggest talents already.
Well, she is very well known in the international scene as a young athlete.
Her collegiate debut.
Strong Yurchenko full. She actually was not in the vault lineup. I had mentioned she had planned to compete on 3 events, so that was a last-minute change.
Greg Marsden joins our telecast this year. Greg, would you ever say something to a freshman making their debut? Do you tell them just to relax and have fun?
Exactly. And I think especially for someone like Caitlin, you don't want to put too much pressure on her.
Matt Brannon will start things off for the Crimson Tide, who begin on the uneven bars. It's going to sound redundant tonight, but Alabama was excellent on all 4 disciplines last year. Number 5 in the country on uneven bars, and they had a high water mark of 49.525, which is ridiculous.
Well, the dynamic on this event, and like I talk about every single competition, it is all about details, nice extension, of course, form throughout, and hitting every single handstand.
Matt Brannon was on bars 7 times early in the year last season, and then they took her out of the rotation. Her best was a 9.9 on the road at Georgia.
Finishing it out, double layout, and a solid start.
Now she's an All-American, and she performs like it. Mackenzie Brandon, sophomore from Austin, Texas.
This is a clean routine from start to finish. Beautiful form in the air, and you can see she spotted that landing and held on to it. It's going to be details like that, sticking landings that separate these 2 teams.
Ohashi has booked her first collegiate score at 9.7. And here comes Janae Honest, second in the lineup. You see Valerie Kondos Field right there, as she always is, omnipresent at the end of the runway.
Janae is a very powerful gymnast. She can get a lot of height. Always comes down to the landing. Very nice.
She was on vault in 12 meets last year, and she averaged a lofty 9.8, so this is a strong event for her.
With both these teams, this is the way you want to start the season, especially in this kind of environment, this kind of meet.
Greg, when you're number 3 or you're number 6 and you look across in your first meet and you see somebody that you recognize on a national level, you probably know a lot of those gymnasts. Doesn't it get your juices going to pump you up a little bit more?
Oh, this is the kind of meet you live to compete in. It's exciting. It's really what athletics is all about. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
For the coaches as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're nervous. You want to do well, especially coming out of the gates, the first meet of the season. You're not sure what to expect, but this is where you want to be.
This is why you do it. This is why you put all those hours in
Alabama,
the gym. Yeah.
UCLA.
9.825 for Brandon. Keely McNear is second up. McNear, a 2015 All-American. Of course, she was All-Conference in the SEC, which is saying something. And by the way, last year, she was in the same spot, leadoff, in 11 meets.
Wow. Huge release there to start the routine. In fact, it almost looked like she didn't get her dowel over that bar, and we know what can happen. She held on. Winding up, finishing double layout. You could see she was fighting for that stick. Her chest was just a little bit forward, of course, had to take that step. This release move, watch this. Look at the distance. She has to fully extend. She made it look easy, but it is easy to make a mistake on something that big as well.
As she looks back up at it. She had 12 scores last year that were 9.825 or better. So how she went 9.7. Honest goes 9.8. A new graphic fixture for us here is the shade. That's the low score. Remember, 6 compete and 5 score. Angie Cipra, the junior from Mesa, Arizona. Her folks are here again.
Beautiful form on that vault.
There they are. I told you they were here. That's Inez and Dan. And, you know, Inez is always so subtle, as you and I know.
Lots of power on this vault. Little off center on the table. Had a little bit of twerk. Of course, you can see a little bit to that right side of the mat. Remember, the judges see this vault over and over, so it comes down to height, execution, of course, the form in the air, the landing, as well as the distance, and the position on the mat.
Back-to-back 9.825s for the Crimson Tide. For the first time tonight, we're going to see Carly Sims. Carly Sims, a 2-time All-American and an NCAA regional champion. Last year, though, this wasn't one of her strong events. She didn't compete all that much, only 3 scoring routines on the bars the entire year. But, well, like most teams, Bama has to reshuffle because of graduation.
Starting right with a combination. Lots of height, a little close on the catch. She's very dynamic to those cast handstands. See a little bit loose through her lower back. You can see that little bit of wiggle in the handstands. Save. It looked like she caught her heel on the low bar. She had tremendous height, but looked like the rotation stalled out a little bit. You can see right there, it opened up just a little bit, and then she had to pull it around at the end, and of course, doesn't take much to be a little off balance on a landing like that.
Well, and you can see them in this meet. They're really trying hard to stick every landing. So sometimes that backfires on you a little bit, especially when you haven't had the experience of, you know, of the season.
9.85 for Cipra. Nipulani Hall now, the sophomore from Kansas City. And if you haven't watched gymnastics yet this year, there's a new scoring system. They downgraded the Yurchenko full. So Pua's going to do a 1.5. And that's a 10-0 start value.
Very nice. We see the Yurchenko full over and over. That vault starting from a 9.95. So this one, she adds an additional half twist, takes it to that 10.0 start value. Obviously, she needs a little bit more height, a little leg separation there, and you can see those knees bending just a little bit early. And it's a much harder landing because you're twisting into the ground as well as it can be blind. You can't see the floor before you're actually trying to land it.
And that's the decision the coach has to make. Do you take that risk of some landing deductions, or do you play it safe and do the full or the half?
And a lot of teams have been saying that they have multiple vaulters that can do these 10-0 vaults, but they haven't decided if it's worth doing yet.
Well, right. I think they're waiting to see what the judges do with that. You know, they've kind of given them a little permission to maybe over deduct a little bit the 995 vaults and maybe over reward the 10-0 vaults.
We're going to see, I think we're going to see some veterans, and I think we're going to see freshmen make the change first. How long do you think before it washes through and everybody's upgraded their vaults? A couple of years?
It could be 3 or 4 weeks.
Really? Oh, wow. That's something to look forward to. Kiana Winston now up on the bars for Alabama.
Lots of amplitude throughout this routine so far.
She had a 9.925 last year as her season best, and it came against Bama's rival, Auburn, lining up for the dismount.
Strong double layout to finish that routine.
She liked it.
She did.
Cloud of
right
dust.
over to the team there. Watch this release. Way above the bar. Gives her plenty of time to see it before she has to catch.
Yeah, that's a beautiful angle to watch that maneuver as well. Up into the lights of Polly. Well, boy, with that 10-0 start value, 9.775. So in that case, the gamble didn't quite pay off, but that's still a pretty good number. And here's another 10-0 start value, Sadiqa Bynum.
This vault different, however. We saw the 1.5 twist. This one is an Arabian, and what's tricky about it is it has to happen right off the table. Another difficult vault in the sense that she cannot see the ground.
And to get that 10-0 score, it's especially difficult because you've got to get that half turn before the apex or the top of the vault on the post flight.
She did a pretty good job of that.
Did.
You could see right as she stood up out of the table, we were able to see her face. That means the majority of the vault was a front flip, and that's what makes that vault difficult.
Bynum certainly is one of the leaders of this team. She is a redshirt senior, been on campus a long time, and she now has 31 straight hit routines without a fall. Winston goes 9.9. That's the best score for the Tide so far on the bars. Amanda Jeter. Jeter is a junior from Milford, Ohio. She was in the scoring lineup on bars 11 times last year. 9.9 against LSU was her best. They're going to hold up for just a second here. This is an equipment issue? Yeah, they're just working on the tension here on the bars.
It's always a tough position for the athlete. They're ready to go. And whether it's the judges or the equipment, got to catch her breath, stay calm.
All SEC honoree last year.
Nice release to start the routine. She's got a beautiful long line. Beautiful release combination back up to the high bar. Dismounting difficult double front. Oh! Wow, great fight. I've been talking about
those double front dismounts are tough.
Yeah.
Tough to find the floor and stick. That's why a lot of coaches, try to change that around to either a double layout or a full out or, or something like that. It's just much easier to see the floor and land.
Absolutely. I competed that exact dismount, and what makes it hard is adrenaline or not adrenaline, you come up short or over rotate it before you even know it.
We go back to the Bruins on vault. 9.7 for Bynum. And here's one of the new talents that Valerie Condos Field is very excited about having on campus. Madison Preston, she was the 2014 National Vault Champion for level 10. Freshman from Loveland, Ohio. And this is her collegiate debut.
Wow.
That was nice.
Anybody that watches this vault over and over, she knows there is so much potential. It was absolute perfect technique. And here's the difference. As she comes off the table, she is dead straight. You're going to see her start the layout before she generates that twist. So she's nice and straight off the table, perfect position in the air, and with some more experience, I'm pretty confident she'll stick that landing.
See her drive that left arm over her shoulder, continue the twist and get the torque going. High five from her head coach who said, "That's why I brought you here."
You love to see your freshmen start their career like that.
I bet you do, right? Job security. Stick around. 9-6-7-5 again for Bama, so they're going to have to count at least one of those. And Katie Bailey in the anchor spot. Alabama comes in number 3. We've already seen an upset. Number 1, Oklahoma has been beaten, so there's going to be a change at the top of the gymnastics rankings, but I think that might happen a couple of times this year. Katie Bailey, 3-time All-American. She had 6 victories last year, including 3 that came in the all-around.
Beautiful Jaeger. Transitioning down to the low bar. They need a clean dismount here. Full twisting double back. There it is. That's going to help.
And they needed that. Well, there's a reason that she's at the end of the lineup.
Beautiful technique here on this Jaeger. You could see she caught that with full extension, but this was the exclamation point. Dropped it in. Perfect.
Her season high last year came against Boise State, a 9.95, and this one might be close. So Alabama does have to absorb one of those 9.675s, but Katie Bailey rescues them early at the end of the bars lineup. Not only does Alabama rally at the end of that bars lineup, but they actually go in front of UCLA. Alabama goes 49-125. Last year, 56 of their 60 rotations were 49 or better. Alabama is just deep and talented. UCLA comes under 49 on their first rotation of the year. Well, UCLA was led by Angie Cipra, who was in the 3 spot. She came up with a 9.85. Good to have a veteran in the middle.
Well, these are some great vaults. One thing that we talked about on Friday at Utah is that with the new scoring change, we're going to see different vault scores this year. So she was solid. Remember, that starts from a 9.95, so she did receive 9.85. So it's not unusual to see the lower vault scores at this point.
Katie Bailey was the anchor on the bars, and Bama already had 2 9.675s. She had to come up, and she came up big.
Well, strong lineup. This was a strong final routine, start to finish. But it was the dismount that made the difference right there. Drops that full twisting double back in. Perfect.
Greg, certainly you've seen Alabama over the years. People say this team's going to be better. You just watched them on the bars. What are your early impressions of this team?
Well, I think for both teams, actually, in that first rotation, I saw some really nice stuff and some great potential. With some, I saw some small mistakes that you would expect early in the season. And in fact, as a coach, it's not all that bad because it gives you something to talk about next week in practice. You want an opportunity to get better every week and build throughout the season.
And certainly you can train all you want, but competition's that's a different animal, right?
Yeah, it's just different when you're here and you know every tenth of a point is going to make a difference or could make a difference, and so you're pressing a little bit.
We're going to flip sides. UCLA will move over to the bars, and Bama goes to the vault. Once again, this was an excellent event for Bama, and UCLA was top 10 on the bars when we come back. Bama with a slight lead after 1 rotation as we kick off the 2016 women's gymnastics season on the Pac-12 network this weekend. We were already in Salt Lake City, another huge crowd for the Red Rocks and the Cougars of BYU. Now it's number 3 Alabama and number 6 UCLA. Bama goes to the vault, UCLA goes to the bars, and Keely McNear is going to be right at the top of the order, and that's no surprise. Bama had 15 meets last year, and she led off in every single one of those, and she posted good numbers. 12 of her 15 scores were at least 9.825, so that's a good athlete to put at the start.
And a clean vault to start this rotation out. Alabama
Go ahead.
has the potential to have 3 vaulters with that 10-0 start value. And when I had a chance to talk to their coaches, basically said, we're not sure yet. We're going to wait it out. We're going to see what the judges are doing. We're going to see how we warm up, and then we're going to make those decisions.
You know coaches aren't going to tell you anything at the beginning of a season. Danusia Francis for the first time, and she's a house favorite. The senior from England who ended her season hitting 35 routines in a row. She was top 25 in the country on this event last year with a high of 9.925. It came against California.
Aggressive start to this routine. 3 releases directly connected. Wow, nice fight. Finishing giant fold to that double pike. It seems like a very short routine because there's so many big skills connected back to back. She's able to earn that bonus points. She stays clean. This is where it all started, right here. She releases up to the high bar, gets enough power and speed to bring it right back, and then connects right back up.
You know, and she's an athlete that you just can't take your eyes off. She's so aggressive on every apparatus that she works, and you can't coach that. You either have that or you don't.
You can't take your eyes off her because she's up in your face. She's up in the crowd high-fiving people after her first performance of the year. 9-7 for Keely McNear for Alabama, and here is Carly Sims. We saw Carly on the bars in the first round, but she was one of the low scores at 9.675.
Oh.
Short.
Yeah. You know, she doesn't run very aggressively into that vault, and every athlete has a different strategy, but it looked like she came on a little bit high to the table, which of course affects her block. So you're going to see right here, she comes on, just didn't get enough push off the table. She did a great job generating enough rotation. That's hard to do, but she had to pike it down. Of course, she'll get a deduction for the chest forward and the step.
Right, not much amplitude distance from the horse. They're going to deduct that every time.
Janae Honest waits over at the bars for UCLA. Janae already has posted a 9.8 on the vault. Career high of 9.825 came against Arizona on her first routine of the year last season.
Crowd always loves those high-flying releases. One of their powerful gymnasts, like we saw on vault, and sometimes power can be difficult to control. She's a little short there on that last handstand. Finishing full twisting double back. And you can see it's elements like that. She had a lot of power. She released the bar a little bit early, and that makes the landing inconsistent. But I can tell you, since she was a freshman, she's really made improvements in her details of that bar routine. She cleaned up her form, tightened up her feet on her elements.
Carly Sims only a 9.525, and Alabama already wants to forget about that one, so pressure on Brandon, Brissett, Winston, and we'll see Lauren Beers at the end of this rotation for the first time. And Kenzie Brandon started the meet off for Bama on the bars with a 9.825, and we believe this will be a 10-0 start value as well.
Well, I'll tell you, she's a powerhouse gymnast.
Wow.
You guys like that one?
Oh.
That was great. And you know, I know both of us have been talking about this new start value system. That's starting from a 10.0. We're excited to see what the judges are going to do with it, to be honest with you.
And that should be rewarded. And that's why they made that change.
Absolutely. You have to have enough speed, block the table perfect. She generated that rotation, gets that 1.5 twist, and there's the difficult part. You have to be aligned perfectly as those feet hit the floor. Not too far back, definitely not too far forward, and she nailed it.
She was on fire on this event at the end of last season. Her last 5 vaults were all 9.875 or better. So we'll see what the judges do with that. I don't know what was wrong with it. Caitlin Ohashi had a 9.7 on vault to get the meet started for UCLA. So she's already taken care of her first collegiate performance. Now she can settle in and relax, right?
Oh, wow. Cast handstand. Oh. You know, we talk about this event, and She did that very first cast, got a little off balance. She saved it, but I know as an athlete, sometimes you mess up the first skill and then the entire rhythm gets off. Here's where the problem happened on the Tkachev. You could see the way she caught the bar, the doubt was against it versus over it, and before you know it, you're on the ground.
And I'll tell you what, I don't care how much experience you've had before you get to college. It's a different game when you're out there competing for your team and everybody's depending on you. And she's a freshman. Believe me, that'll get better.
Well, when you begin anything for the first time, it's always about the growth, right? It's not that first day. It's you go back and look 100 days later and see where you were and where you are now. They gave Brandon a 9-9. Is that a little soft? Are you guys okay with that?
You know, the scores across the country on vault have been a little low. I mean, in every meet that I've seen this year. So I do think they're trying to be a little more stricter on that event.
Jenna Brissett. Brissett, a freshman out of Kansas City, so that was her collegiate debut right there. Like a lot of the Alabama gymnasts, an excellent GPA, a 3.7. They had a 3.8 as a team, several 4.0s.
That was a solid vault. You could see she was really fighting for the landing. I think the reality is that those doing Yurchenko full are going to go for perfect execution and sticking those landings. It's going to be very important on this event.
Well, and she was a little under-rotated, chest down, and so when you try to stick that vault, you are going to, you know, your hips are going to come out the back and you're going to get that big hop.
Greg, you mentioned the scores across the country down on the vault, so I think the judges are sensitive to what's going on. Do you feel they're artificially holding it down a little bit to start, give themselves room to grow?
Yeah, it's a little early to tell right now. It's the first meet of the season, and I think generally they do try to start the season off being a little tighter. I was just going to say that same vault at the end of the season probably would have gone 9.95 or 9.975.
We're waiting on that score from Ohashi and 9.225. So now Metcalf, DeJesus, and Roz all have to erase that. And here is Melissa Metcalf, sophomore from Mesa. Back in 2013, she was the national champion, level 10, on the bars.
Very dynamic start to this routine. When I had a chance to talk to the coaches before the event started, wow, a little bit of struggle here at the end, dismounting double front. She held on to it. Wow. They said Melissa is a different athlete this year. She sat out last year with an injury, and all week long, all she said was, I cannot wait till Sunday. I cannot wait till Sunday. She clipped her heels right there. And let me tell you, on a double front, the last thing you want to do is slow your rotation anywhere. But boy, experience on competing that. It is a tough dismount to stick, and she struggled through and held on to it.
Plus, it's a 2/10 deduction if they take it. If they saw it and take it, that hurts.
2/10 to hit the bar with your feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of that knee injury last year, you're right, she sat out the whole year, so she had 18 months for that first routine. Deanna Winston again. Winston went 9.9 on the bars.
So that vault, a lot more amplitude than the one before. And I think that's where the judges are trying to decide how to reward or deduct, per se. But right off the table, nice push through the hands. Was able to hold that body position a little bit better. You could still see that little bit of pike as she landed. And we talk about the experience of competing. A lot of times at this point in the season, they have not done a ton of vaults to that hard surface landing. So with time, these are vaults that I'm sure will clean up on those landings as well.
Last year, Alabama was number 5 on the vault, so you would expect them to try to distance themselves from UCLA a little bit right here. Melissa Metcalf, her first scoring routine in college, 9.725. Sofina DeJesus, first time we've seen Sofina this year. Two-time All-American on this event, both 13 and 14.
Nice height on the Ginger, little leg separation.
She averaged 9.8 on this event last year and hit 9.9 a couple of times.
You know, watch that dismount all the time. It travels so much with little rotation for a full twisting double back. And of course, you saw her come up short, chest was down. It looked like almost horizontal to the ground and a big step forward.
Yeah, you throw that head back a little bit early through the bottom. You don't get those feet up into it, and that's what happened. It just almost kind of peels off the bar.
Winston had a 9.9 on bar. She comes back to the 9.8 on vault. And for the first time, we see Lauren Beers on vault. Lauren Beers, a 6-time All-American, 4-time regional champion. One of the big names that people came to see. And a big step.
You know, she has a lot of power there. It looked like she was going for the stick.
Well, it's incredible that she's competing in this meet. In the off season, she had 4 surgeries, both knees,
goodness.
an elbow, and had 2 screws put in one of her fingers.
Yeah, and she's nursing a tweaked shoulder, which is why we didn't see her in the bar lineup. So, you know, I talked to the coaches, and they said she is such an amazing leader by hard work. Even if she's not in lineups, even if she's not competing, she demonstrates, you know, what this team wants.
Yeah, and she was their #1 all-arounder last year. They need her healthy and back.
Yeah, she was the all-around champion at the regional. 25 victories last year, including 2 on the vault. Sonia Mraz. And we expected to see Sonia at the top of the vault lineup, and they made a change, so we had to wait until now at the bottom of the bars to see her. She was on this event in every meet last year.
Strong Takacha there. Winding up, finishing double layout. You know, some strong routines, lots of great skills, just lacking a little detail in a few of the areas. The hitting the handstands, the tight, strong positions, and of course the landings for sure on that rotation.
Just needs a little polish.
Absolutely, dismount right there. Just lacking a little bit of rotation. It makes it hard to land.
And Mraz had a couple of 9.85s on that event, but it was inconsistent for her. Randy Lane, assistant coach, with a teachable moment. Alabama led after 1 rotation. We'll add up the numbers and see where we are. The midway point. Crimson Tide, #3, and UCLA, Pollard Pavilion, and a healthy crowd has shown up on a cool Sunday on the west side of Los Angeles. Watching live on the Pac-12 network, Jim Watson, Olympic gold medalist Amanda Borden, and for the first time, the retired 40-year coach at Utah, Greg Marsden, now part of our broadcast team this year. Here's your scores from that last rotation. Alabama, only a 48.7 on the vault, and UCLA goes 48.775, so the Bruins take just a nibble out of that lead, .150 now for the Crimson Tide. Danusha Francis went first for UCLA and led off with its best score, a 9.825.
She started this rotation out very aggressive. Strong swing, connected 3 of those release moves together. So at that point, all that's left is the dismount. I think one thing she did right was she was very aggressive on the details of this routine, which was hitting the handstands and clean landing, and that's why it was the best score of that rotation for them.
Francis ended last season as one of UCLA's best bar workers, and she's carrying that momentum in. Here's Mac Brannon on the vault for Bama.
Yurchenko 1.5, the only one. Sorry, it wasn't the only one that started from that 10.0 today, but it was by far the best vault we saw today. Clean in the air, clean on the landing, and scored 9.9.
She was on the vault in every meet but 1 last year, and her last 5 vaults of the year were 9.875. That was even better, the 9.90. So we'll move to the 3rd rotation. Alabama goes to the floor, and UCLA goes to the beam. Most teams shy away from the balance beam, but last year UCLA was #2 in the country on that event, and Bama was 4. UCLA Bruins, #6 to start the year, returning 17 of 24 routines, including 5 each on the bars and the beam. And the beam is where UCLA finds itself here in the 3rd rotation. Alabama also returns 17 of 24 routines from a team that defended its SEC championship and ended up #4 in the country last year. Valerie Condos Field in the background. Jordan Weber, the Olympic gold medalist, is the team manager here at UCLA. Only at UCLA they have Olympic gold medalists pulling mats for them. And doing it with a smile. Here's the beam lineup. Kayla Gerber, we haven't seen her yet. Ra's been in a couple of times, so Hashi's going to be in the lineup as well. Let's focus on Gerber to start. Sophomore from Cambridge, Ontario. 5 times last year she went 9-8 on the balance beam.
Nice creative mount, as well as a creative turn. It looks like an easy element, but if you ask any gymnast, the full turn is typically one of the hardest elements in the routine.
Amanda, I remember last year, she was always in the beam lineup, but they moved her to the leadoff, I guess for the Arizona meet about midway through the conference season. And I think they did it because of her consistency.
Absolutely, that first person up is by far the most important person in the lineup. You have to get the ball rolling on this event. No matter how great you are, this event is difficult in competition, and so the reality is you need 6 athletes up that can handle the pressure for the team.
And sometimes you ask an athlete to sacrifice herself, and you know she deserves a spot later in the lineup, but it is so important to start off with that hit routine.
Greg, I remember when you were at Utah and the Red Rocks were up on the beam, you were cowering in the tunnel, right?
Until a few years ago, and then you decided, why am I treating this event any different? And I'll tell you what, Michaela did a great job there.
Yeah, that's why Valerie puts her at the top. Set that bar high. And sometimes you're sacrificing a score, you're not, because the judges are going to be a little softer at the top of a lineup.
Right.
Asia Sims starts us on the floor for Alabama. Asia Sims, 2014 NCAA regional champion. That came on the balance beam. This young woman, not only a great gymnast, she is a 4.0 in the classroom.
You're going to see a lot of personality in these routines, as well as some very powerful tumbling. Clean double pike to start it out.
They moved her in the lineup. She was the anchor most of the time last year, and every score was 9.825 or better. So perhaps Dana Duckworth doing the same thing that Valerie Kondo's field is doing, putting a strong athlete at the top to get it going.
Finishing clean double tuck. We'll see, you mentioned in the anchor position, it was 9.825. It was pretty clean from start to finish.
And a great performance quality. I mean, I love those athletes who can show facial expression throughout their routine and change that expression, and she did a great job of that.
You want them to bring the crowd in, right? But does it affect the judges as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me as an athlete, I loved the floor because I could do that and really get to show your personality. And so it is fun to watch. And you hope that the judges think it's so fun. Maybe they forget to, write down with their pens the deductions. So.
Gerber, 9.775. Sonia Mraz is second. Gerber deserved a little more than that. I was expecting to see an 8 up on the board.
Setting up for that tumbling element. 2 back handsprings to lay out, step out, perfect. Remember, throughout the balance beam routine, every athlete required that tumbling, pass, as well as leaps, jumps, full turn. You'll see a lot of different variety of combinations to earn those bonus points.
just like Michaela Gerber before her. Sonia Mraz was a leadoff on the beam a number of times last year because she too posts a lot of 9.85s, did that 5 times last year.
Dismounting 1.5 twist, holding on to that landing. That was clean. That was clean. She did 3 tumbling elements connected here to that layout step out.
In the second routine up. I mean, that's, you know, and Valerie, when I talked to her earlier this week, she said she thought beam and floor was going to be their strong events this year.
Well, so far, 2 strong routines. We'll see what the judges do with that one.
9.825 for Asia Sims. Once again, Mac Brannon.
She has a big first tumbling pass, double Arabian. It's that blind landing. Difficult to land, but also difficult to stay in bounds.
Oh,
wow. Had she taken a step, she would have been out.
All the way to the corner of the floor. Had to stick it. She broke into the lineup and became a regular for the most important meets. The SECs, regionals, the semis, and of course the Super 6. And 4 of her last 5 scores last year were 9.875. So as a freshman, they were really counting on her down the stretch, and she came through.
Nice combination work at the end. Impressive.
Dana Duckworth likes it.
It looks strong all the way through the routine. You know, Dana said that they've hired a new strength coach this year, and she really likes the change in approach that they've taken, and she feels like the team's as in good a shape as they've ever been.
You could see the height on that first tumbling pass. I thought she was going out, Amanda.
Well, I saw her warm it up, and it's very easy to do that because you can't even see how close you are to the corner until you're already there.
9.85 for Sonia Mraz. Ohashi's been busy in her first collegiate meet. She led off on vault with a 9.7. She had a 9.225 and a disappointing bars routine, and now back for redemption on the beam.
So great to see her in collegiate gymnastics. You know, she was very good at a very young age. Beautiful tumbling there. Won the American Cup in 2013 and then took a break from gymnastics. Almost 2 full years. Came back. She actually only competed 1 year again prior to coming to UCLA. So give her a little bit more experience. Let her get used to being a college gymnast in this team atmosphere. And I'll tell you what, I think we're going to see some great things.
Greg, you and Amanda were talking about Ohashi before the meet, and both of you remember her as what, an 11-year-old? She was pretty spectacular even at that age?
Without question, one of the best in the world. I mean, she was just amazing. And I think the reason she took a break for gymnastics, at least part of it, was she had a pretty serious elbow injury, I think. So I think she had at least 1 surgery, maybe a couple, but.
Big double pike there to finish. You know, but I always
field up with a smile.
I always see an athlete like her that you saw at that level and performing incredible gymnastics, and she's smiling and loving it. And I know for me, that's what you want every athlete to experience. That tumbling pass right there, very difficult. It's a layout 2-foot punching on the beam, so it's risky, but it paid off today.
It looks like she's recaptured her love of the sport too. And you have something taken away. Ohashi, by the way, was 2nd in the state meet level 10 last year on the balance beam. Brandon goes 9.85. Brandon's having a good meet. Angelina Giancroce, freshman from Aiken, South Carolina. This is her collegiate debut.
Little off balance there on that landing of the double pike. Beautiful presentation throughout this routine. You can see she's an elegant dancer.
Looks right up at her head coach. Look at Dana Duckworth, right with her every step of the way. Remember, Dana Duckworth was a national champion at Alabama. She knows the feeling.
Nice routine. Big tumbling throughout. I thought it was very enjoyable to watch. Unique choreography.
(9.8) for Ohashi. That's her best mark of the day. Sofina De Jesus, who we saw at the end of the UCLA bars rotation, where she put up a 9.75. De Jesus on the beam, 9.8 or better in her last 10 straight meets last year. She's a two-time All-American on this event.
And always fun to watch on this event. She has such great rhythm and moves very quickly. That was her tumbling series, and a little bit questionable. She was a little bit slow in the connection. To get full credit, there needs to be continuous movement.
She had a 9.9 on this routine at regionals. That was her best score last year.
Lots of unique skills throughout, meeting those requirements like that full turn.
Little moonwalk.
Always the crowd favorite. And a new dismount for her. Off the side, but forward front full. Nice job. It's going to be interesting to see what the judges do with that tumbling series. We see a lot of gainer layout fulls off the beam, not too many layout front fulls.
That's the problem with those front to back skills to use for a series. If you do break it, if you have a little wobble in between or you're not quite quick enough, it's a big deduction because you've got to have a series in your routine. It's a basic requirement. If you don't, it's a big deduction.
Right, it's 5/10 if you don't.
Katie Bailey, three-time All-American. She only had 4 scoring performances last year on the floor, but 3 of the 4, she scored 9.875.
Another huge first tumbling pass. Double Arabian. Same pass we saw from Brannon. She went out of bounds in the warm-ups. No problem there. Middle tumbling pass. front 1.5 twist. I saw her warming up a double pike, so I wasn't sure which one she was going to choose in that last tumbling pass. Her first tumbling pass was by far one of the best ones. I saw her warm this up, and I mean, she ran 3 feet out of bounds, so clearly much better control. And the key on this skill is technique. When you have good technique, when you take off in the exact right position with your head in, chances are it's going to be a good landing, and that's exactly what she did there.
I'm really impressed with how comfortable Alabama looks on floor, and especially with their big tumbling passes.
Absolutely.
De Jesus, 9.85. This is our first look at Christine Peng Peng Lee for UCLA, and her story, it would take us much too long. It should be a biopic when she finally retires. A 4-time All-American, but she underwent surgery in November to repair a torn ligament in her left thumb. So they're starting her out a bit slowly here. Balance beam for the first time, and she's got a new, what they call a hands-free Bluetooth routine.
Could be tough to do on this event. That means that her tumbling elements both have to have no hands. She's going to do the side aerial into the skill that we've always seen her do. That is very difficult. A side aerial in general, when you have to do a half turn in the middle of the flip, it's just very easy to misdirect it. Remember, the balance beam's only 4 inches wide.
You know, this is one of the most talented gymnasts in NCAA gymnastics right now. It's too bad that we're not going to see her on more than balance beam. Great routine, great routine. But they're going to have her back maybe as early as February.
Yeah, she's an athlete that has enough experience, so she doesn't need to necessarily be out on all the events. They need her to get healthy. But boy, oh boy, this was packed with difficulty right here. She has to spot the beam, square her hips, and perform that flip out of the aerial, and not a single wobble.
And that's a really tough combination, really tough.
You talk about how talented she is, and I don't know that there's many athletes who can match her medical history as well. 2 ACLs, she had torn ligaments before the Olympics, now the surgery on the thumb, and yet she keeps coming back to that same level. It's remarkable. Bailey got another 9.90. She had 1 on the bars, now she gets 1 on the floor, and here's Lauren Beers. We saw Beers on the vault in the anchor spot, but only had a 9.625. Beers is their big name coming in. She anchored the floor 6 times last year and had 7 9.9s.
Well, you can see she's just not quite herself yet. I think she will be as the season goes on. Normally she would open with a double layout there.
Yeah, and you could see maybe just a little too much adrenaline. She over-rotated just a hair and took those 2 steps on that first tumbling pass.
She hit 9.95 on the floor 3 times last year.
Finishing double tuck. Still a pretty difficult routine, but the thing with her is she is capable of much more than that. And that'll be the goal for Alabama, is to upgrade her tumbling.
Yeah, she finished strong though, and well, you'll see in this replay, she really knew where the floor was and stuck the landing.
Lots of power, but knows right when to open. You can see she spots the floor and is in that perfect position to be able to control the landing.
25 wins last year for Lauren Beers, and 6 of them came on the floor. 9.95 for Peng Peng Lee. The new Bluetooth routine is good. All right, so a lot of people circle this one when they come into the room. They say, I want to see Janusha Francis on the balance beam. Here you go. It starts one way and it ends another, and they're both thrilling.
Really, throughout the entire routine, she's very flexible, and they showcase that throughout this routine.
Top 4 in the nation on this event the last 2+ years.
Strong combination to start the routine. And she has a lot of personality. I always think it's amazing when you can get on the 4-inch balance beam, perform these skills, and also, you know, entertain the crowd. It's not easy to do.
I think it helps her relax. It's her personality. She lets it out.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah,
you
sure.
get on the beam and relax.
It's all easy from over here.
I mean, just the extension, the toe point on every skill she does.
This is all building up to her dismount, which made history 2 years ago, and she continues to be the only one in the country to do this.
It's the side area that we always see, but it's going the opposite direction. She has to land both feet on the beam and dismount right into that full twist.
It always brings the house down.
And people are up on their feet.
She's had a 10 on beam before. March 16th of last year.
She has 4 inches to land right there. That was perfect placement of her feet, and of course the full twist off. You can see her eyes are on that beam the entire time, but the difficult part is to get both of those feet in the exact position they need to be in. The crowd loves it.
Well, and both those last 2 routines are packed with unusual skills that you just don't see every week.
Curtain call, where's she going? High five in the crowd again. I love it, a victory lap. Right by us. Good for her. She's really enjoying herself already this year. And you said it before, that's just who she is. Beer's only a 9.7, so that's the low mark. Carly Sims needs to aim for that one. Remember, Alabama is still leading in this meet. Carly Sims has had trouble in her first 2 events, bars and vaults. She needs to find a place to contribute.
Wow. Huge height there on the double layout. Lacked a little bit of rotation, but she did a great job getting to those feet.
This was her best event last year. 10 times she reached 9.9 on the floor. Even the Bruin crowd likes it. Well, they know entertainment here, don't they? I bet they're cheering back at Dreamland Barbecue in Tuscaloosa, too.
Beautiful double pike. That was fun.
Great rotation by both these teams.
Carly Sims is going to erase Lauren Beard's 9.7. So now 9.825 is the low score for Bama. I'm assuming this one's going better. And for UCLA, well, Danusha Francis wasn't perfect, but pretty close. The word is in. 9.95 for Danusha Francis. Great part about an afternoon start time is the kids can come and stay till the very end because this one is still to be decided. UCLA now down 0.050. Certainly they have enough talent, and Valerie Condos-Field loves the floor exercise. She's a choreographer by trade. That's how she came to gymnastics. She was a ballet dancer. So we asked her, what are we looking forward to this year? It's always one of UCLA's favorites.
Angie Cipra has one of the most entertaining floor routines I've ever seen. And as is Sofina De Jesus and Danusha Francis. You may be seeing a revisit of Bond.
Okay, open stretch is now
James Bond.
Shaken but not stirred.
Yes, very good. Yeah, we saw that floor routine from Francis last year. Amanda, when I walked in the room, I didn't even know who was warming up, who was working out, and I heard that Bond music right away. I said, Francis using the Bond music again.
That's right. Maybe a small, different version, but I'll tell you what. UCLA on floor, it's hard to remember that it's a competition. You sit back and you just relax, and boy, they have some fun routines this year.
And isn't that what Valerie Condos-Field always says, that you have to blur that line between competition and entertainment when you come to the floor? Great. It's always one of our favorite things when we go to the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City to watch your old team, the Red Rocks, on the floor. What kind of emphasis did you guys put on it? Because you draw 15,000 and you draw them right onto the floor with you.
Yeah, well, it's artistic gymnastics. It's a performance sport. So as I said earlier, you really want to perform out there and show the crowd that you're out there having fun. To do that, though, you really have to own your routine. Because if you're nervous about that first pass or that last pass,
they feel it.
That changes the expression on your face.
Absolutely, and I had a chance to talk to Val before, and I was asking her, come on, give me some news about these floor routines, and she said, you know what, it's my goal to entertain this crowd. I want to take the performance up into the stands and outside of these white lines, so we shall see.
Valerie Condos-Field has been entertaining the folks in Southern California for 26 years with 6 NCAA championships and some of the best floor routines in the country. Cypress folks love it. They're not blue and blue sky on the west side of Los Angeles over iconic Royce Hall. That's the upper campus, UCLA, and every kid who's ever gone here has walked up those steps multiple times. UCLA band is here. A crowd upwards, and I'm estimating so far near 6, maybe 7,000 inside Pauley Pavilion, and 2 of the best teams in the country. Number 3, Alabama leads number 6, UCLA, as we go to our 4th and final rotation, and Bama will have to bolster their lead on the balance beam. Well, don't feel sorry for them. They're number 5 in the country coming off last year. UCLA was a top 10 floor team, but they had a disappointing year for them. They thought they were better than that. Dana Duckworth, 2nd season as the head coach, the Crimson Tide. She was called into a meeting a year and a half ago, thought it was just going to be a regular staff meeting, and Sarah Patterson, the longtime coach, walked in and said, I have to have double knee replacement surgery. I'm stepping away. And they handed it over to Dana Duckworth. Brian Rashilla is still there. He's been there 20 seasons. Bill Lorenz is in his 2nd season as an assistant coach with Dana. And Alabama has been in the top 4 nationally 7 consecutive years. There's Rashilla. Well, we talk about your staff all the time, your former staff, your wife Megan, and of course Tom Farden, who are now the co-head coaches. What do assistants mean to a head coach in collegiate gymnastics?
Well, it's everything, because there are so many plates you've got to keep spinning in the air, you know, all at once.
Yeah.
You've got to rely on you know, people to cover a lot of those bases. You've got to hire good people, and you've got to be able to trust them.
Solid series there for Keely McNear.
McNear led off on the beam 7 times last year, so she's accustomed to this. 12 of her 15 scores were at least 9.85.
Solid back handspring layout, step out.
You know, she came to Alabama as a walk-on.
Yeah, and then through hard work and performing well, has earned a place.
Quickly earned a scholarship.
Wow.
Held on.
Not only held on, she held that landing saying, hey judges, just want to let you know I stuck it. We see a lot of landings that are almost sticks or they bounce out, and we're questioning what they're taking, but that one was very clear.
McNear had a 9.825 to start the meet on bars. She had a 9.7 on vault. Pua on the floor for UCLA. Pua Hall, sophomore. Career high here is a 9.85 for her. She's done it 2 times. 6 floor performances last year. She might be a regular this season. Right with the keys to the piano.
Combination pass, 1.5 twist through to that double tuck. Landing. You can hear this place goes wild when UCLA is on floor. Every routine, every pass they hit. So fun.
Lonnie Hall, the sophomore from Kansas City, gets UCLA started. They have to rally here, down .050 to start the 4th rotation.
Her final tumbling pass, double pike. Clean in the air. Watch her teammates as she hits the floor.
And the band behind them. On the other side of the room, the quiet side, McNear went 9.85. Mac Brannon. Mac Brannon went 9.825 on bars, 9.90 on the vault, and a 9.85 moments ago on floor. Having a very good afternoon.
Beautiful. You can see how confident she is. Smooth movement, but precise positions. Solid kick over front to that immediate feet jump. Prepping for the dismount. 1.5 twist with that slight hop.
Another solid routine, though. You know, last year she primarily did vault and floor, so she's added bars and beam this year for the all-around, and she looks great.
Yeah, I mentioned her scores before, all up near the top. Best on the team. And Duckworth says, thank you, I need an all-arounder. Hall went 9.8, so actually after one athlete on each side, UCLA has slipped back. It's a .1 lead now. 10. Ohashi. Well, she's going to be in this kind of position throughout the year, throughout her career here in Westwood, where the team says, it's your moment and we need a big number. Go get it. Like at Condos.
Wow.
Goodness.
That pass kept going.
Chris Waller in the blue shirt, Randy Lane holding the clipboard. What a moment to have all of Pauley Pavilion locked on you.
and she loves it.
She's actually such a natural performer. You're used to seeing the upperclassmen on this team really pull the crowd in. She's a freshman. She is eating this up.
Welcome to UCLA gymnastics.
She's only 4'10", and she's never stood so tall. That was a nice moment. Now you got to find out if she's going to be rewarded for it.
Combination pass, she did that 1.5 twist, but it kept going. Front full, directly into that front half. Split jump, and then she continued to add more. Remember, we talked about her, but watch Coach Val in the background.
Yes.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, Coach Val cueing the crowd. That was very good if you don't know gymnastics. She wanted to make sure the crowd erupted on it. Good for Kaylin. Well, only a 9.775 for Brandon. That's the low score. Once again, Kiana Winston is asked to step in. A couple of times she's come up after modest scores and come right back with big numbers. She had a 9.9 on the bars and a 9.8 on the vault.
A little off there in that front aerial, but you could see she snapped those arms down. Kept the balance check very minimal. Nice height there.
Right now, the meet has never been tighter.
Well, and it's always a tough place to end on this event. You can see just a little bit of doubt in that landing. Small balance check.
All four of Bama's events were top 5 in the country last year, including balance beam.
Dismounting, big double tuck. Confident there, that's for sure. You know, she's an athlete that demonstrates the power that you can have on the balance beam, the high flying flips. Her mistakes were in the dance elements.
Well, we saw the 9.775 for Mac Brandon and Bama on beam. Ohashi goes 9.85 for UCLA. So at this point, after 2, UCLA is only behind by 0.25. And here's Danusha Francis. Now, Daniel Craig might be all done being Bond, but Danusha Francis is going to give it one more year.
What about that, Jim? You think that's easy too?
I don't even like to watch it. It hurts.
Oh, whipped a double tuck. She looked like she was a little high on that back handspring out of the whip. She held onto the double tuck, but big deduction there stepping forward. Much better landing there on the 2.5 twist.
Here you go. Stepped out. Flags up.
Shot her team there at the end. Boy, a lot of potential in that routine. That's the one you sit back, you forget it's a competition. She brings that entertainment to the routine. She just had a few struggles there on the landings today. The first pass was that combination pass, and watch out of this whip back. It looked like the back handspring was just a little high, which of course then affects the amount of rebounds you get on the set of the double tuck, but she held on to it, of course came forward on it, going through, getting some tips on how to make sure that doesn't happen, because that's a routine and a score that they need in that lineup.
Right, and but it could have been worse. That's somebody with experience that was able to find the floor and stay on her feet.
Kiana Winston, 9.825 for Alabama. Lauren Beers. Lauren Beers has had a disappointing day by any measure, and certainly her lofty standards. 9.625 on the vault and just a 9.7 on the floor.
We talked earlier, she has had multiple injuries, 4 surgeries, and an irritated shoulder right now, so not quite where she's used to being. But I'll tell you what, you mentioned some struggles. She's done a very good job working with where she's able to train right now. With all of that stuff going on, it's very difficult to get the kind of numbers you need to be confident in competition. So no doubt she'll step into that leadership role later in the season.
Well, she is the leader of that team. I mean, she's the heart and soul of that team. And you're right, she will.
She was super consistent on this event last year. 14 out of her 15 beam scores reached at least 9.8. That's just money in the bank.
Nice rhythm through this routine, moving from one thing to the next. Dismounting 1.5 twist. Wow. I'll tell you what, best routine of her night.
Yeah, she likes it.
You know, I think the other events that she competed on tonight, floor and vault, are the events that she probably hasn't been able to train as much. The balance beam is one of those events that doesn't take as much pounding on the body, and a big hug right there.
.9575 for Denisha Francis. UCLA is going to want to put a red line right through that. They cannot count that and win this meet. Allie Mosette waited all night to see her right here. A lot of pressure here. UCLA cannot afford another bobble, but she cannot hold back.
Deep breath as she sets up for this tumbling pass. Double pike. She delivered. I was thinking through that routine, what is so impressive is they have the big tumbling, but to dance like that in between really challenges the endurance. I tell you what, I remember in the gym as an athlete, my coach telling me, perform more, and I'm thinking, I'm trying, it's hard to do.
Well, and to stick that double pike at the end without stepping back or anything, that's an exclamation point on the routine.
For sure. This was her final tumbling pass. perfect takeoff position. Nice straight up. Holds on to it, opens it up, and look at that. That is very difficult.
See Jennifer Pinches back there, was on the team last year, and now as a volunteer coach. They're waiting for the score. Did they give her a 10? It's not official. UCLA has begun the celebration. Wait for it, not quite, but pretty good. 9.95. When a team runs all the way across with their hands in the air.
But that brings UCLA right back to the middle of this.
You bet it does. Lauren Mears went 9.85. Meanwhile, Asia Sims has to block it all out. There's a lot going on for these Alabama athletes. Of course, the football team playing for the national championship tomorrow, but they can't go because they have to go home. They have a meet Friday against Missouri.
And then one on Sunday against Auburn.
That's right.
3 meets in 8 days.
Yeah, I was asking about when they're heading home. They said, we got to go home today. We got to get back to training. I think people don't realize how tiresome the gymnastics season can be for these athletes and how much thought goes into their training and when they're working out.
Later in the month, they're taking on 3-time defending national champion Florida, and that's in Gainesville. So a busy month, but Greg, you said it at the top, the gymnastics season waits for no one. You don't ease into it. National championships less than 60 days away right now.
Yeah, you need that big meet experience. So the more of those you can have, the better off you are in postseason.
Very nice routine. I'll tell you what, she had a small balance check on that full turn, but everything else was flawless.
Asia Sims had a 9.825 on the floor. That score might be better than that. She was in all 15 meets last year on the balance beam and almost always put up a 9.8 or better. So now we'll see with Allie Mosette's 9.95, Angie Cipra. We've only seen Cipra once tonight, but it was worth it, 9.85 on the vault. This is one of Coach Val's favorites. Remember, our soundbites, he said, watch Angie Cipra.
She had a great routine last year, lots of personality.
She had a 9.9 on this event at the regionals. Oh, someone's phone went off.
Did she just get a phone call?
I looked at mine, I thought it was me.
Nice save there.
Yeah.
As a freshman, we saw her compete on this event a few times and go out of bounds. She's so powerful and quick. That was a little bit of the struggle on that middle tumbling pass, but she held on to it. And 1 to go in this routine. Finishing double pike.
Oh, no big deal. Angie Cipra.
That's just fun, isn't it?
It's different, and that's what Coach Val loves, right? Everyone has its own signature.
But you see that routine and her personality and what she's trying to say through everything she does. Her facial expressions, her body movements, and of course the crowd's going along with it too.
They're begging for a 10 again. So 9.825 for Asia Sims. So Nikki Guerrero knows the number to beat is 9.775. That's the low right now for Alabama. We're not sure now because remember, 6 compete, 5 score. Exactly what the difference is, suffice it to say that it is close. Nikki Guerrero, a floor specialist last year, and now having to come through and protect the lead from the toughest event.
Difficult series, back handspring, 2 layouts connected. She knew she had it. Solid. Wrapping it up, 1.5 twist. We talk about the balance beam all the time. It's the make or break event in every single competition. Well, I'll tell you what, both teams went 6 for 6 today.
And handled it. Another great rotation for Alabama. I'm really impressed with both these teams. You know, many times these two teams aren't the strongest out of the gate, but they're always there at the end.
Angie Sipra 9.925, so Sipra on 2 events. She was the high on vault. Another big score on floor, Sadiqa Bynum. And Bynum was top 20 in the country last year on the floor. She won 5 times. She had 7 scores of 9.925. And last year, she had a double layout on her opening pass. Is it still in?
It's still in. Wow.
Oh. I think she's okay. The flag stayed down.
She went right to that white line, but I didn't see a flag go up.
The meat is going to come down to this performance.
A unique double tuck down this side. That's how powerful she is. She doesn't even need a full run.
She had only competed in the vault, so she's been waiting more than an hour for this routine.
I'll tell you what, you feel this energy. I don't know about you, Greg, but it makes me want to get back out and be the gymnast. What do you think? You want to be out there coaching?
No.
Here it is. Last tumbling, combination, front to double tuck.
Now the question, is it enough?
It's going to be close. What a great meet. What a great opening meet for both teams.
Alabama thinks they have enough, but they're not sure. So all the training, all the workouts, all the routines, and now it's going to come down to the math. Number 3, Alabama. Number 6, UCLA. Back inside Poly Pavilion on the Pac-12 network, and what a meet we just witnessed. Number 3, Alabama led the entire night, and UCLA, behind Sadiqa Bynum's 9.95 closing performance on the floor, storms back to win it again. How many times have we seen the Bruins do this on this floor? Even with Danusha Francis not giving us her best on the floor, UCLA was deep enough with the other 5, 196.550 over 196.3. And so now 2 of the top 3 in the country have been taken down, Greg, on the opening weekend. But we're coming to expect that now because there's so much more parity in collegiate gymnastics.
Has got to be happy with their performance today. I mean, to come all the way across the country and be this strong on every event, the first meet of the year. And there were little things for both teams all the way through that they can improve on. So from a coach's perspective, it was a perfect meet.
It's all about where you can improve, get better for next week. Let's go out on the floor. Amanda Borden is with Caitlin Ohashi, who just finished her first collegiate meet, and Sadiqa Bynum, who just won it for the Bruins.
Well, what an exciting first meet. I'll tell you what, big opening starter. How big is this win for your team?
It's so great. Coming in, we just wanted to do our best, and we did it, and it happened. So
Well, I know personally I was so excited to see you in collegiate gymnastics. How great was this moment for you as a freshman?
It was so much fun. I think it's a whole different atmosphere than what I was used to, and just having a great team like this behind me is great. So,
well, we heard about this year's floor routines, and the competition came down to the last routine. That was you. Did you have any idea it was that close?
No, I had no idea. I just went out, performed for my teammates, and just had fun.
Well, you guys lost a big senior in Sam Peshek. The coaches told me it's all about the team filling in those spots. How far do you think this team can go this year?
Oh, all the way. We're going to win it for sure.
Well, congratulations. What an exciting night. We can't wait to watch you the rest of the season.
Thank you, ladies. Yes, smiles on her face. Hey, tell Ohashi it's not always going to be that much fun, and it's not always going to work out. But at UCLA, they expect it. Let's take a look at our Pure Silk Pursuit of Perfection. And we take you all the way back to UCLA's Beam and Christine Peng Peng Lee, who puts up a 9.95. Greg, you remember this one. What'd you think of it?
Well, the choice of elements is so unique. It just stands out. For me, it was a standout performance of the meet.
She can hang on to it. Also on the beam, and you've seen this a couple times against UCLA. Now you get to watch it as a broadcaster. It mesmerizes me every time I watch Danusha Francis. Francis on the balance beam ended up with a 9.95. Over to the floor, Ali Mozette. When UCLA had to have a big one, they just had a bobble with Francis on the floor. Mozette, she put up a 9.95, and again, it's the unique characteristics, it's the nuances, the dance moves, and you know everybody has their signature on the floor for UCLA. They're all different. Mozette went 9.95, and how about one more 9.95? This with the meat on the line, and Sadiqa Bynum comes through. A lot of power in that routine. So 4 9.95s, your Pure Silk Pursuit of Perfection. And the Bruins come back to win it 196.550 to 196.3. Greg, this is your first time as a broadcaster. The best part of being over here and not being over there, you can't lose over here. You're getting paid either way, brother.
Yeah, it was a blast, and Alabama and UCLA made it a lot of fun for me my first time through.
Yeah, it's always good when it comes down to that final performance. Alabama now is going to get on a plane and go home against Missouri at the Coleman Coliseum. And again, they have Auburn on Sunday. UCLA has a tough one themselves. Maybe they'll be on the same plane. They'll be at Florida on Friday. So UCLA opens the season with a big win over number 3, Alabama. That'll do it for us. For your producer, Alan Brock, your director, Mark Wolfson, Gabby Sparger, our statistician, your unit manager, Taylor Glover, and for my partners, Amanda Borden, and for the first time ever, Greg Marsden. I'm Jim Watson saying so long from Westwood. The Bruins pull the upset and take down the Tide.